Hey guys, it's Jack from Atlantis Water Gardens. Welcome back here for part 2 in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. We are building an awesome pond here in this kind of a tight backyard. We're having some struggles with working back here with this heavy equipment and all these boulders, but we are getting it done. We got about a 14-foot wide by 30-foot long pond here. The far end, there's gonna be an intake-based skimmer. That's where our pumps will be housed. Over here, we've got a wall that actually was built inside the pond. So we set those blocks on the bottom. Those are the base blocks that come just to water level. And then from there, we went to a double-sided wall system. That's gonna be a seat wall on this side of the patio. That is looking really good. You can see Drew and the guys did a great job cutting all that block in right against these boulders. Point here is to mix in some rock around it so it doesn't become an intrusive part of the whole design. I think it looks pretty nice here. That's gonna get capped off with a capstone, and it'll be a great place to sit right by the future fire pit. We got some monster boulders going in this pond. The main focal point here is going to be our waterfall. At the top, we set a 6,000 biofalls. That's going to be feeding multiple cascades coming down. We've got our main drop right here that's going to be really visible from the sunroom of the house, and as well as that brand new gazebo on the far side. Then we're going to bring some water over on that right side, kind of streaming around, have some cascades on its way down before it comes in between these two rocks over here into the pond. We've got aeration that's going in here along with our circulation, which is going to move all of our water that way towards our intake. We just got another load of these large boulders, which is going to be great for us to start framing out this waterfall. I'd like to see some of those bones come together today. Hopefully get most of the pond finished off so that we can really concentrate on this massive waterfall and stream system that's going to happen on this far side. Let's get it rolling. Tell you what, it's a hot one today. But sun, rain, sleet, snow, doesn't matter. I'd rather be doing this than anything else. Believe it or not, this is what a waterfall looks like coming together. So these are called frame rocks. So we're framing a right and a left side. In between, we're gonna do some stonework to make a waterfall come off of here. What I wanna have happen here is water coming off somewhere around this height here, like dropping down, maybe even building another waterfall right there. So it's like a lot of back and forth, and then finally into this area here where the pond is. I might build this up so it's just above pond level so that when it finally falls in, it has like a very cool, like rippling, like forceful effect, pushing water out of here, headed towards our intake. This is the right side of it. So now on the left side, Drew is working on doing some stone work to actually build up in between this gap. This is going to be our larger presentation waterfall that is going to be seen from the sunroom where Dave spends a lot of his time. So this is really an important set of falls because when you walk in the front door, you can actually see right through the room out to where this spot is. So we've got to make sure this is impressive. See how the rock comes down this way on the right and kind of that way on the left? We're going to utilize that. I want to get a weir stone that's going to be probably just about that high across to here. So most of the water is going to come down the middle, but we'll actually utilize this slope and let water come off in front of it on each side. So we're getting like a multiple waterfall effect from one set of waterfalls right here. That's going to be great. Once we get all the framework for this bottom section in, we're going to go ahead and install our overlap liner, which is going to carry us up the rest of the way to where the biofalls is at the very top. So even though me and the boys are all roasting out here on top of this black, really hot liner, we're still getting stuff done. For 3 days in, we're in tremendous shape. I think today, if we just drop a couple more rocks in, maybe even get our overlap liner in and do some backfilling, tomorrow that's gonna set us up for really going crazy on building the rest of the sections of waterfall. And we could actually be done here by Monday, which would be like a 6-day project. So to build something this size in 6 days would be incredible. I'm getting ahead of myself. I know that's gonna jinx me, and you guys will see at the end. It's gonna take us 7, maybe even 8 days, who knows? But for today, I love our progress. Let's finish strong, huh? Welcome to day 4. We actually got some rain last night, which makes it feel pretty muggy this morning. Now, if you're not from the Northeast or somewhere where it gets real humid, you might not know what that means, but it's just blech. You just feel like wet. But the upside, and there's always an upside, is it knocked down all the dust. This place was super dusty the first 3 days. Hopefully today it's not going to be such a dusty mess. Colby's going to start pumping out the pond. We got a little bit of water in there last night, and we're going to focus on getting our overlap for our waterfall in. So this liner right here is actually the pond liners coming from there all the way underneath everything up onto this area here. We want to pull this back, clean up this area here, and then lay it back out so that we can take another piece of liner and drape it over the top down in behind these rocks. Now I want to make sure I'm at least a foot or so below whatever the water level is going to be up here, and right now we've got probably closer to 2 feet, so we got plenty of room for overlap here. Then we're going to take and pull all that back when it's installed, backfill up against these rocks, create a shelf so we can create some pools back in here that are going to be the next section of waterfall. Finally, we'll work our way up to the biofalls, where we'll do a mechanical attachment with a faceplate and bolts and silicone, and that will complete our whole liner circuit right down through the pond. Now I have this side all folded in. There's plenty of liner there for us to pull out and go inside of our intake bay skimmer when we get to that, but that will be pretty much the last thing we do here.
Start that climb, and you know we can't ignore this, and you know we won't bury it. The feeling we have won't go away. We're running to the great beyond, stepping out into the sun.
So much going on when you get into these big waterfalls. There's a lot of different elevation changes that you have to constantly be doing calculations on, because you want to make sure that the water being fed from the very top is going to be enough to like feed all these different cascades coming down. And that's where it's extremely important to use your laser level, making sure that like when you're setting weir stones on either side of like a rock, it's coming out kind of even, or maybe even a little bit lower on one side, because we want to be heavier on this left side than we do on the right side. So I'm going to set my weir stone on this side, maybe just slightly lower, and I know that's not a quantifiable number, slightly lower, but it's a feel thing. Like I know that if I set it just like that much lower, I'll get to distribute the water this way that much more where I need it for this waterfall. We got 2 pumps going up here. We've got 5 PL, which is about 5,000 gallons an hour going up to our biofalls filter. Then we're going to do a dump line. We want to dump water in front of it just to feed the volume of the waterfalls with a 5 to 9,000. So that's going to feed us up to, by the time you pass through the plumbing, maybe 8,000 gallons an hour. So we're going to have anywhere from like 12 to 13,000 gallons an hour of water flowing down all these cascades. And figuring out how to distribute that water is kind of like a feel. It's really a tricky thing. It's not something I can tell you like exactly like, okay, feed this much here, that much there. When you build enough waterfalls, you kind of know, like I know like I got to feed more on this side than I do on that side. And you guys, if you're building your own waterfalls, it might take some like shimming or adjustment when it's all said and done. And that might happen here too. Like we might fire this thing up and we're not getting enough water on this side. That means like maybe placing a couple rocks just to do some damming, or maybe even shutting it down and doing some foaming. But you won't know until you finally plug those things in. And that's the exciting part, right? That's the fun part of building waterfalls. Let's get back to it. Starting off day 5 with another unhappy camera. The humidity is just fogging everything up. But good news is we've got what looks like an awesome waterfall. This is really coming together. We really just have to finish this left side. We're actually gonna dig that stone down so that it's just about the same height as the lip of the biofalls, which is back behind it. And then we can go ahead and frame out that left side and finish that off. But before we do that, we're gonna dig our intake reservoir. This liner's long enough to go back to about where the blade is on the machine. We're gonna excavate this down so we can get 10 aqua blocks in here and our pump vault, which is gonna have those 2 pumps. Essentially what I wanna do is dig down this opening about 10 inches below water level. Then we're gonna come back here and make a depression for our aqua blocks along with our pump vault. Then we can pull our fabric and liner inside the excavation and put it all together. Finally topping it off with some boulders just to make it look like an extension of this awesome pond. If we can get that situated today and maybe even finish up some of the framing on the left side, that will leave us 1 day to finish this project, which would be excellent. But before we get there, I have to go change my shirt and towel off. It's freaking muggy out here. Let's see what this intake bay excavation looks like. This is where the pond ends right here. That elevation there is about 10 inches below water level. And the reason it dips down behind it is because that's where our aqua blocks are going. Those are the aqua blocks units there. I mean, 9 of them in here that are gonna be making up this whole suction grid. Over here, this depression is for our pump vault. That is our pump vault there. That's gonna go inside there below all the aqua blocks. Then they all get arranged 3 by 3 inside this excavation. The reason this is 10 inches below is because we want to create draw or suction from the top of the pond. So we're essentially creating a weir that the water has to come over. By the time this is done, it'll be probably closer to 6 or 8 inches with rock work and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to make it so we draw the top couple inches of water into this intake, and it'll just be swirling around right here where it's pulling down into the grid. This is why it works so well for fish. So fish can swim inside here. On top of that, there'll be about 8 inches of water. They can kind of come inside and go back out with no problem. We'll adjust the opening here according to what our pump volume is. So we're running 2 pumps in here. We've got a pretty strong pull. I'm gonna keep this somewhere around 18 inches wide, maybe a little bit narrower, just because I want to get a really good amount of pull coming in here. We want to make sure all that debris that hits the surface comes down here and gets pulled into this area where it can be removed with a skimmer net. Once we get this all cleaned up, really finished, raked nice, and there's no rocks, no roots, we're gonna pull our fabric in, then our liner, then we can put it all together.
I don't know